Okay. I think we're ready. Are we ready?
We're all ready.
We are ready. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Penobscot County Commission meeting of February 4th, 2025. At this point, I will call a roll. Commissioner Trumbull?
Here.
Commissioner Marshall?
Present.
Mr. Treasurer? Present. Excuse me, and the chair is here. I will, at this point, ask our UT Director if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, George. I would entertain a motion regarding the January 21st meeting minutes.
Move we accept the minutes of January, whatever it was.
21st.
21st.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It is unanimous. We will at this point open for public comments. Is there anyone present in the audience that would like to provide public comments? Seeing none, is there anyone online that has expressed an interest? We do not, so we will close the public comments. At this point, we'll ask the UT Director and his crack assistant and very competent mainstream finance representative to come forward.
He's putting pressure on this
Yeah.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Yep. It's like winter's actually come this week, so,
I know.
which is great for the snowmobile and skiing,
Absolutely.
ice fishing. Although there was an article yesterday said the ice is so thick they're having trouble fishing for bait. There's all kinds of complications, yeah.
Sounds like a tough problem to have.
Which is good if you're gonna drive your vehicle out on the ice. Okay, George, what good news do you have for us today?
We'll start with TIF committee met last Thursday, reviewed two different TIF applications, and Dee is here today to present the findings from the TIF committee.
Welcome, Dee.
Thank
Would you,
you.
just for our vast viewing audience, introduce yourself?
Sure. Dee Williams, Department Director for Mainstream Finance. We're a subsidiary of Penquist, so we offer non-traditional financing, small business lending, and mortgage lending. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, take it away. What one would you like to start with?
Well, on the agenda, it looks like we're starting with the Friends of the Veterans Memorial Library, so we'll
Okay.
start there. The request came in from the Friends of the Veterans Memorial Library requesting a $51,500 grant, which equates to 1% of the total needed for this new facility of $5.1 million. The goal of the new facility is to provide larger library space and offer meeting activity, warming and cooling centers, computer, high-speed access, and a commercial kitchen. It sounds like a one-stop shop in Patton, Maine. Was $3.9 million received already in federal grants and a generous contribution of $150,000 in ARPA funding from you folks. The library is left to secure just under $1 million. The committee met last Thursday. They had a lengthy discussion about this application and the various expectations of the new facility, but also the location and the true impact to the residents of the unorganized territory. After careful consideration, the committee was unable to support the full request. Being mindful to remember the intentions of the TIF funds are to benefit or positively impact the residents of the unorganized territories, ensuring support for all individuals who reside within those territories. The committee felt that there was not enough supportive data accompanying this request, providing the true total number of unorganized territory residents that would receive benefit from this facility. While unable to support granting the 51.5, the committee did feel that some residents may use or find benefit from this new facility and was willing to support an offering of a conditioned approval of $25,000. They believe this is fair, realistic, and it provides the most positive impact for the collective benefit of the community, understanding that it is a needed facility and also the residents of the UT. The TIF committee is committed to supporting initiatives that best serve the needs of the residents. That is their mission. They will continue to oversee these funds and request but provide support within the parameters. And that's one thing we do need to discuss too. It has been brought up that we need to have a separate meeting to discuss how we go forward with the funds of the TIF committee and how to deploy them.
Probably somewhat overdue, thank you for reminding us.
Yes. So, like I said, the committee met, they understand the need, but there's still a lot of funds that need to be secured. One of the conditions of the $25,000 approval that they presented was that it would be held until all the other funds were procured, and then they would grant that $25,000.
Which is, I believe, the position that we have taken at the county as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
thank you.
correct.
I was looking in the wrong direction. And this is the first time that entity has received TIF funds.
That is correct.
There is, Jessie Moriarty is from the library, is on our Zoom. I don't know if she wants to speak
Okay,
to address us or not.
all right,
Jesse?
Before she does,
Yeah,
I have
before
some
that,
questions about the process.
certainly.
First, what do we have, what's the balance in the TIF account right now?
2.6 million, give or take.
And how much every year goes into that?
It's different every year. It was 693,000 this past year.
So, and we have allocated ARPA funds of 150,000 of this project, right? And the TIF committee, is that all people that live in the UT that's on the TIF committee? What was the
The
TIF committee?
TIF committee rules are, we hire Dee's
Right.
firm to help us manage the
Financial
TIF, and
fees.
if there were any loan applications, they would manage those as well. We haven't had any loan applications, just grant applications. But the county administrator, the county finance director, myself and Tina are on the TIF committee along with Dee, and 3 people on the TIF committee that can vote. The county employees can't vote for any of these details. It can only be the 3 people that have volunteered to help us with that.
Who are those?
So
None
there's
of any of those.
Greg Fuller, he's.
Right, from
works-
Machias.
Yeah, from Machias. Brent Folster,
Yeah.
who's retired from Camden. And then we have an open
We have
vacancy.
an open seat currently. Last Friday, we received an email. Michael Crowley has stepped down from assisting us with the TIF committee. He was in the Millinocket area. So we're looking for somebody to fill that seat. And we asked the TIF committee members if they had any names to bring forward, so we'll keep you posted on that. If there's anybody out there looking to help us out with that, they'd be voting members of the TIF committee.
I mean, I don't know, going forward, have we ever talked about having people from the UT on the TIF committee?
Well, I think, Dee, maybe you can speak to what criteria, if any, we had set.
So I'm unaware of any criteria. However, there has been mention in conversation about the possibility of somebody from the UT joining the group, but with the mindset of not just giving it away, if that makes sense. We need somebody that is committed to being able to say no, because sometimes we are put in the position to where it doesn't benefit the residents. And I think somebody from within the UT is gonna think everything is a positive and yes. So I think that's the concern or maybe the drawback. Also, like I said, these funds, as George said, they're gonna get less and less each year. The interest is gonna change, and we need somebody that can be outside the box, or if you will, or outside the picture, looking in and making the best decision.
Generally, these people have finance background.
Yes, they do.
Might be helpful to all of us as a refresher to schedule a segment of one of the meetings to bring those individuals in,
Yes.
have a discussion with them historically about what they've done, and then also take a look at the TIF. Have you other entities that you provide this service for, that other TIF projects that? No.
I do not know.
Okay. Do you know if any of the other CAP agencies, financial divisions might also do that? Because,
I do not believe so, but I can certainly ask the question
Okay.
to some of my
and maybe George, if some of your
Partners.
UT brethren.
The idea of a TIF committee came from, we weren't the first in the unorganized territories in the state of Maine to have a TIF, if you will. And we interviewed everybody, Barbara and I, back in 2016 when we set this up. All the other counties with unorganized territories that had a TIF, some had committees, some didn't. Hancock County doesn't have a committee. You guys make all the decisions. county commissioners make those decisions. But most counties have a committee where they allow it to go through the process and it gets vetted, because there's a lot of people asking for free money when they find out about it. So it gets vetted quite well. Our bylaws say that there'll be 3 voting members, but it doesn't say they have to live in the UT.
Okay,
Or it hints that there should be some financial background.
yeah.
And I can let you have a copy of those bylaws, you guys, remind you where we're
I
at.
think if we put a packet together that would include those bylaws, the
Yep.
letter that the state sent us approving.
Background
The
on the disbursement of funds.
Okay, so I assume somebody's kept a log of that.
I've got all of that
Oh,
information.
great.
That'd be
I was
great.
gonna ask for
Yeah,
that.
so if
Good,
we,
just to see what
if we
have
could
on it.
schedule a time, Scott, that we could carve out maybe 45 minutes to be able to invite those, and I assume those gentlemen might be available during the day.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay. Take a look at that, maybe before we
We,
take the final action.
We bribe them to come into the meetings with lunch.
Okay,
It's the only pay they get, right?
well, we can at least
We-
provide coffee and
We
donuts.
could at least provide that, yes.
Okay, good. So getting back to this, I believe we have somebody online that would like to potentially share some comments.
Sure. Jesse Moriarty here. I assume you can hear me.
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just really wanted to thank the committee actually for taking the time to review. I'm not in disagreement. We, in working with George and the staff in the UT, we're not serving all of the UT. We're serving a very specific slice up in northern Penobscot County. And so I think that the recommendation of the committee seems fair when you look at that region. I do think there is a very seasonal nature, though, to the folks that are, up when we look at Mattagamon, Katahdin Woods and Waters, the Bowlin camps. Like there's a very seasonal nature to that part of the UT. And so we did struggle pulling those population numbers. But, believed that the committee would sort of have a good idea of those numbers. I'll also share that since we put that application in December, we've raised an additional $65,000. So we're making progress for sure. And I'm incredibly grateful to the county for their support.
Jess, could I ask, is that the total that you have raised outside of the listed grant, ARPA and federal grants here?
No, I can pull that number for you really quickly.
I was just, also within that, if you have it available, I think the commission might be interested as to what commitment the town of Patton or any other affiliated towns might have made to this process.
Sure. So outside of ARPA and the CDS grant, we have raised $411,925. So 411,925. And we have some big grants that are going in right now. We are working hard with the town of Patton right now on the MOU around the building. The library is a municipal library. So it is owned by the town of Patton. And so we're working through that process as we speak.
Great. So the roughly 412,000 raised privately includes the 65 that just came in, or is the 65 in it? Okay.
Includes the 65 that just came in.
Great. Okay. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
we're making progress.
Not a Jesse, just on the general.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Jesse?
No,
Okay. Thank you for
Thank you,
being
Jesse.
with us, and thank you for the work you're doing there.
Thank you.
We gotta decide on this one. I'm okay deciding on this one today.
Okay.
I would just state that, there's a reason this committee, they do a lot of work, they looked into it. When I looked at it at first, I'm like, it makes sense to me, especially when you look at the balance of that's in the TIF account. Plus the fact, I think, when you look at the fact it's gonna have a warming and cooling for the region, that's gonna be the site for that. The commercial kitchen, we heard last fall and in December from people about the bill about home kitchen and home cooking up there, that they didn't have commercial dishwashing capabilities, so they would be able to use this facility for that. So I think it's going to serve a lot of people. And I don't think you need too many TIF requests that benefit everybody in the TIF district. So I think this is very reasonable. I personally would probably fund it more, but I would defer to the committee's
Okay.
recommendation.
So George, I think he's referring to the issue of the food sovereignty
Yes.
ordinance. Would this, to your knowledge, be available for people to use, or is that really not germane to that?
According to Jessie, when she made her presentation to you last time, that kitchen was available,
Okay,
from what I understood.
okay. Well, I think in the context of what we're looking at today, I would entertain a motion on this proposal by the TIF
I
committee
would move to approve the TIF committee recommendation.
of
Second.
25,000.
Yes.
Okay, yep. So we have a motion to approve the 25,000 recommended by the TIF committee.
Second.
Okay, have a motion, a second, further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item
Thank
2.
you. The second request we're reviewing today is for the Millinocket Regional Hospital. The hospital submitted a grant request of $50,000. They are seeking approval to purchase a new CT scanner. The total project cost is $550,000, and they've already secured $100,000 in a generous donation of ARPA funding from you folks. The current scanner is over 15 years old and has become unreliable with increased downtime and repairs without access to the needed parts becoming more frequent. The consistent downtime is creating a barrier for medical staff to provide vital patient care. The scans are essential for the emergency department physicians, clinicians, and in order to make accurate diagnosis with treating the residents in the emergency department and beyond. The current state of the CT scanner is outdated. It doesn't provide timely, accurate scans, resulting in the patients needing to travel to different medical facilities to gain access to care. The committee unanimously agreed that approving these funds, they would not only be supporting the Millinocket Regional Hospital, acknowledging this support will benefit the residents of the unorganized territory, those traveling through the unorganized territory and surrounding areas for recreational purposes, and the residents of the surrounding town. The new scanner will allow for faster, more accurate scans to be completed while saving the patients from having to travel to other facilities to gain access to the care they need. As a result, more patients being able to use the new scanner with minimal downtimes will create revenue from those visits that to help secure the funds needed to pay the remaining balance over the next 5 years. The life expectancy of this new CT scanner is 15 to 20 years. So with the $100,000 in ARPA funding, the $50,000 from the committee, they are left to secure $400,000 through a lease for 5 years.
Questions?
It was 150,000 from ARPA, wasn't it?
No, I believe this was only 100.
This was only 100.
Scott?
Yeah. I'm seeing 100. Wendy, what do you have?
I think so as well, yes.
I think the 150
Because we had
encumbers.
discussed the 50 coming from
Right.
TIF.
The
Okay,
150 was the library.
so it's the 150 from the library, 100 for there, so it's 150 here, so it'll be 150 aggregate for Millinocket Regional,
Mhm.
Plus the $1 million we gave them. for
1.1 million.
1.1, thank you. For
Yeah, well
correcting me.
aware. I know that we had, just as an aside, we had 3 days within the past month where the CAT scan machine was down. We had to send people to Lincoln or Bangor. And of course, in a situation like that, time and distance is everything, and particularly with our aging population we have out there. This is probably, as the unanimous decision of TIF committee reflects, critical importance for northern Penobscot County and the health of their citizens for the next 15 years ongoing. So I'm real excited about that.
Would you care to enter a motion?
Well, sure, I'd enter a motion, we fund it all, but then I will go ahead and go with the TIF committee recommendation of $50,000.
Okay,
Second?
your passion is duly noted. We have a motion and a
Within
second.
striking distance, you know.
We are now at the point where we have
Need
a
that service soon, I think.
motion and a second. Any further discussion or rancor? Hearing none, all those in favor? It is unanimous.
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you for your work on this, Dee.
Yes, thank you.
We will not forget our pledge to you to get
Please,
together.
thank you.
Okay,
I think it has dual benefit now because we can bring Dan up to speed too.
so I'm now bookend by two fiscal giants here, so.
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, do we have anything else that you would like to bring forward, George?
Every 6 years, 5.5, 6 years, we replace the vehicle that the UT director, the road agent for the UT drives. We're at just over 5 years, so it's time to start finding a new vehicle. I
Okay,
just wanted to be sure to get your permission to go out for bids on a new pickup for the UT.
do we need a motion on this or just affirmation that we feel it's appropriate?
We usually make a vote that we're gonna spend this money and out of that category. I'm concerned that the $52,777 won't even buy a new pickup today. We haven't.
What do you
got-
get, a half-ton
We
extended
get a
cab?
3/4 ton this time,
Oh,
because we're
3/4
hoping
ton.
in the future to have a tractor and a trailer that we tow
Yeah.
around to do some of our own road work.
Makes sense.
So
Did we allocate in the budget for
For the
that?
tractor, I think we did for the local,
The
didn't we
tractor-
appropriate money
The
for the?
tractor was gonna come from the TIF program,
Oh, okay.
Put an application in.
unless you've done something different.
No, but it makes sense because of the use of that.
Right.
Okay, so that may be an item that you want to put forward as a request to the TIF.
Eventually, Scott and I have been talking about, I'm not sure we wanna put a tractor down here out back without some kind of,
I think this one of the simplest is that you want an RFP for the truck, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it,
Okay, so we'll stay on target then.
yeah.
The RFP today is.
That was what I was asking for, but
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I would move the request to be approved.
so we have a motion for up to 60,000?
Well,
Yeah, but if you.
if I could,
we
Chair,
need to-
just to go out to RFP,
Okay.
yeah,
not to
Yeah.
expend yet. Then
No.
you bring the RFP, you bring the bids back, and then we
Good
decide. Yeah,
Okay.
you go through all the coding and all that. This is just basically, and whether you vote or not, it's up to you on the RFP. I think if you're in consensus, if somebody disagrees, then I would take a vote, but to go out to RFP is, yeah, that's all you're
Yeah, we're not
authorized.
expending money, we're just going
No.
out.
Right.
I think the general consensus is we should
Good.
move forward with that.
good, we'll run through that process.
Let me ask a quick question on that tractor item.
Sure.
So what would be the benefit of not putting the tractor just in the UT budget? Why use TIF money for the tractor instead of putting it in the UT budget?
The TIF we had to identify our district in there, what money was gonna be spent on what in the district. And in the district, at the time, we put most of our paved roads, most of our roads are in that district.
Okay.
So some of the road work, all of the road work that we're doing, could be legitimately funded by some of this TIF money, and we haven't spent much of it on roads.
Okay, what did we do a lot of internet work up there with TIF money? Did we do some internet for the region? Wi-Fi or something?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes, we just did, 4 or 5 years ago, we did
Greenbush.
broadband in Argyle. And then this January 2nd or 3rd, they started working on broadband for 8 other townships.
Okay, great.
And they hope to have it completed, and we spent $300,000 on that.
We can probably get into that in a little more detail when we finally have that meeting to talk about the TIF.
Yeah, we know you need the meeting. So we've been pushing
It's
for
not
it.
anything you've been doing to hold it up.
One of the things we're really hoping to do is get the 3rd member on board. It would be a perfect chance to bring our new commissioner up to speed, remind everybody what the TIF originally was set up for and how, and at that time, bring that 3rd member on board, a real educational experience.
Okay. So at this point, we do not see a need for a motion, but you have the intent and affection of the commission
The
going
blessing
forward
to
through
go
our
out,
RFP.
okay. That's all I have.
Thank you. Tina,
you.
all set? Okay. Thank you
Thank you.
all. At this point, Amanda Stewart is with us to present for the Piscataquis Area Community Center. Please come forward.
Thank you.
Just state your name and where you're from.
Yeah,
Okay, I am Amanda Stewart. I am the executive director for,
yeah, just pull it in a little bit closer.
okay, got it. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
I am the executive director for the Piscataquis Area Community Center. We actually just got into the building on Friday, so this is kind of a newer adventure for us. We were formerly the Piscataquis Regional YMCA since 1987. In October, we were informed that we were going to be shutting down, and as of November 1st, we were completely shut down as the YMCA. A group of past board members from the YMCA came together as a collective and have reestablished a new board and are securing the facility and the endowment for the future of this new community center. So I'm here today to ask for Penobscot County's support of $92,000. We are in Piscataquis County. We are in a cusp of Piscataquis County where we service a lot of Somerset, Penobscot, and Piscataquis as well. I live in Somerset County. I own a business in Penobscot County, and I work in Piscataquis County. So it's very cuspy right there. We are hoping to secure $500,000 of just annual support. We are working to secure $100,000 in annual contributions and also $100,000 in annual fundraising. We're still pretty new in our endeavors this year. We've got a really strict budget that we're working on. Now that we're in the facility, it's very outdated and it needs a lot of updates. We are still waiting on our official 501c3 approval from the IRS. We do have, I can't remember what the man's name is, but it's at Senator Collins' office who's helping us to kind of expedite that process if we can, because we can't secure any grants without it. But we've been talking to different towns, municipalities. We don't have a lot of 100% guarantees on anything because everybody's kind of in the middle of their budget processes right now. I did meet with the Dover Foxcroft Board of Selectmen. I meet with them very regularly, and previously they had given us about $30,000 in annual support, and we've increased that to $90,000. That's looking pretty favorable from them. And then we've never had support from the other towns, and we do service about 25 different towns with members. We're trying really hard to make it so that finances aren't a barrier to access to our facility. Very, very community focused, and it's important. After shutting down, we had a lot of conversations with doctors and elderly people in our community who are really struggling with us not having the facility open, and people's health is failing. So we're trying very hard to get the doors open as quickly as possible. I have a team of about 15 volunteers in there right now, painting and cleaning and scraping. We have contractors and electricians just volunteering to get the facility back up to par at the moment. The goal is to reopen on Monday with the fitness center and our studio, which is where we do our adult wellness classes and like our community potlucks. And then hoping within the following 30 days to reopen the pool and the locker rooms and the basketball and racquetball courts that we have.
Who owns the property at this point?
So at this point, the Old Town Orono YMCA had merged with the Piscataquis Regional YMCA. We have in our purchase and sales agreement that we will regain control of that as soon as our 501c3 is established. So until then, we're doing an interest-only mortgage to them for, I think, 4.3. That was the federal minimum that we could pay them. We applied for that back in October, so we're hoping that the maximum would be another couple months on that.
Great. Questions from the commission?
Yeah, so this isn't a one, you're asking for like ongoing funding? Or?
Yeah, and I'm happy to come back and kind of talk annually as we figure things out. But yes, we're looking for ongoing annual support.
I mean, obviously it's a great asset to that area. We don't have a unlimited supply of money, especially ongoing funding.
Yes.
We'll have to, I don't know how we would fund it. So, or if we were to, I would need to see a breakdown of your membership from, how many members you have in Penobscot County. I would need more information, but I would be struggling to find any new projects. We're having a hard time finding what we have for existing projects. So I don't see how we could fund this.
Commissioner Marshall, did you hear?
Yeah, you have a $6 annual per capita assessment for the Penobscot County towns affected. What are the other two counties? What's their per capita?
So same per capita ask, and hang on, I've got my sheet here. In Penobscot County, we're asking for $92,106, Piscataquis County, $95,814, and Somerset County, $18,390.
But the per capita is the same, you said?
Yes, yep. And then the towns, we're asking for per capita ask from each of the towns too, based off, so their approximation to Dover Foxcroft, so the towns that immediately surround it, we're doing a higher ask. Dover Foxcroft obviously is the highest ask of all of them, because we affect a lot of theirs.
Okay. At this point, I don't think we're ready to take action, but I sense that there's a willingness to gather some more information. So I guess I don't want to speak for the full commission, but that's, what is your time frame that you need to get commitments in order to move forward?
So we were able to secure about $100,000 just in fundraising initially. So we have some startup money. We have had an electrician already come in, and so he came in yesterday. We should have a quote today for what that is, and he's going to put most of that to the SBI to see if we can get some help so we can get more energy efficient and cut some of the bills there. The sooner the better, obviously, but as we get our members signing up and we see who's coming in and from where, I'm happy to share that information.
Sure.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, the 92,000 is an estimated ongoing request.
Yes.
So that would typically in our budget process come forward when we are doing the initial budget work. So there's.
Kind of around August, September, yeah, July.
Okay.
So that would kind of, with what you're asking here, would be more in alignment with what our procedure is for ongoing requests. So
All right.
people that have historically been there, and we occasionally get new ones each year. So just so you're aware and your board is aware of what our policy would be, our budget's already in place. That is a number that would not be possible this year.
Sure.
But if you did reach a point where you wanted to make an ask, you could submit it to the director,
Okay.
administrator. So,
Yeah, we're on the calendar year as well, so I think others that you're dealing with are probably on fiscal,
Yes.
which is why you're getting in more, and also when you get updates, such as the Piscataquis County, Dover, or really any of the other towns, it'd be really interested to know what their final commitment is, because that will certainly be requested when you submit for any funding from Penobscot. So,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, really just wanted to kind of start the conversation today and see what we could do.
Well, yeah, keep an email with, with me, and, yeah,
I
we'll go from
appreciate
there. Okay.
good, thank you for your time and
Thank
for
you all.
coming down.
Thank you all
Best
very
wishes.
much. Great to meet you all.
All right. We are a little early for the tax abatement hearing. I guess we will move on to finance. Treasurer Moore, if you're ready to give us your succinct report.
Oh, good morning.
I just caution you, there's a former treasurer present, so don't try to put it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
true. On the agenda, we have the approval of the municipality tax levy. Again, back when we did the budget, we approved that we would raise $25,095,288 in tax levy. So we received the valuations from the state, and then Scott has calculated the county tax levy for each of our municipalities. So that's what we have before you today, before I send out the bills.
And I can add, commissioners, that our mill rate, that we don't really refer to here, but our mill rate actually went down, I believe almost 3/100, well, as it extends out. Ours is a little funky compared to municipal mill rates. It goes, and the other item is, on average, there was 12.01 percentage of increase in valuation for the entire county. Some as high as 30+%. A lot of smaller towns were hit that way, and I know personally Charleston was hit last year. Yeah, so I think other than that, that's all the little tidbits I have with regards to the valuations in this document here, but.
Mr. Treasurer, could you just explain a couple things to me? I'm looking at the state valuation for Bangor. And then as we carry over to the next to the last column where it talks about state valuation of $114,600,000.
That's for Lakeville.
Yeah,
That's for Lakeville.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
did
two
that
columns.
first too.
Yeah, it's two columns.
Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying.
Get it all on one page.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That answers that question.
Okay.
Any further questions from the commission? As I understand it, this is a revision because there was a change in one of the plantations that was anticipated to deorganize and did not do so.
No.
No?
no,
This is.
no, this
what-
is the first presentation of it,
Okay,
but yeah.
okay. All right. To that end, do we have any further questions or do we have a motion to accept this?
Motion to approve?
Have a motion to approve?
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you for your report.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right.
What else do you have?
Next item is the tan.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean going to Florida?
There we go.
Yeah, I know.
There we go.
I think each of you should have a copy of what
Next, second page.
he provided.
Have you got it?
Municipal fact sheet and cash flow projection for the 2025 TAN.
Yep.
Okay? What say you?
I'd say we go for the amount of 11, we still have 11 million.
11,200,000?
11.2, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me grab my book.
okay.
Do we
My worksheet.
recollect what last year's TAN was?
Oh, last year
So 9.4.
was 9.2.
We only used it, we used 8, right?
Yeah, and we only used 8.2.
Okay.
A little over 8.2. Again, that was supplemented by 4 million in ARPA funds as well.
The last
So we
couple of years
really,
we borrowed from ourselves.
We paid
Yeah.
interest to the.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So this year,
What was
we're,
the total amount of interest we paid on the tan last year? You have that right there?
no, I don't-
That's all right, that's, at some
No.
point. I mean,
I
11
can get it to
million,
you, yeah.
what is it usually around? A little under 2%, 1 3/4, something like that.
Mm-mm.
Higher than
No,
that now?
Oh, yeah, no, that was,
No,
no, those days
Those
are
are the
gone.
good days.
Those days are gone,
Yeah.
yes, Commissioner Trumbull. Yeah, I wanna say it was
That's
close
great.
to, it was
a little
close
above
to,
6, I think.
was it above 6?
6%.
Yeah, oh, it was,
Yeah,
Well, remember, the interest rates were not coming down
Yeah.
last year when we had to go
Oh,
out.
yeah, they should be down, well, that's,
right, and if you remember, we only pay interest on the amount used,
Right.
and generally, we
Right.
take
And we
a
draw it
tan
down
as
as we need it, right,
used,
yeah.
right, yeah, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So out of the 10, with the supplement of ARPA, we only used 4.2 million. So, yeah,
Are we in a position that there is any ARPA money remaining that could supplement this?
well, that'd be the next question, but for now.
There is, I don't know how
Yeah.
much, but
Yeah.
the treasurer's gonna jump
Okay,
into
yeah, Another.
another area here in a minute.
Okay.
But,
Yeah,
I think that,
because you also have to consider that as we go through this year, that we're gonna start doling out a lot more of that cash as well. In the
Understood.
Yeah.
the ARPA balance, yeah.
yeah. So again, I bring before you to have a limit up to 11.2 million and to begin the process of securing a TAN.
go out to RFP and get the work
Yep.
done. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We have
usually
a
work with
request
legal on that.
to go up to $11.2 million and start the process to acquire a TAN for this year.
I would approve that, I would just note, that just, everybody's got the same packet, but just, that is the largest amount we can get for a TAN, because it's based on the largest projected deficit plus 5% of the previous year's budget, right?
Correct.
Yep,
Okay. Well, we're very hopeful we don't have to use it, but we know that there is a process that has to go into place. So we have a motion, Commissioner Marshall.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous of those present.
all right, the next issue was brought to my attention this morning is that we had planned to secure the TAN and then use it in the month of April. I believe as of this morning, our cash balance is not great.
700K.
Okay, so we are we are a month or so early in needing funds to supplement our budget. So I asked this morning if we could use 2 million of our ARPA funds to temporarily get us over our cash needs until we get the ARPA approval.
So what we're talking about is $2 million of allocated funds that we would borrow from
Borrow
for
from the
the
ARPA.
purpose, and there would be an interest repayment to the
Yep.
ARPA fund for that.
Correct. And then when we get the TAN secured, we'll pay the ARPA fund back.
Are we under any obligation where we've just approved an 11.2 to allocate that differently, or
I don't think so, no. It's just a temporary cash.
Mr.
Yeah,
Trimble?
I would move to approve it, but I have a question as well.
Okay, so I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Just a question, so what's the county's weekly, what's our payroll? I mean, that's our biggest.
If you look at the, I don't know if you still got the warrants there, but you
Yeah.
can see what the
Yeah,
average is.
Uh,
No, the warrants.
In the
Yeah,
warrants.
yeah, around 350,
Yeah.
350
I mean,
down.
we're off a little bit, we're not way off because you projected 272 at the end of this month and we
Right.
would have cash on hand, so, I mean, what are we off, like
I think
500,000 projection? or
Yeah,
so?
yeah, again, these are all projections,
So,
but
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's roughly, what, 2.5 million a month that processes out, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be our.
Overall, not
income
just
is-
payroll.
overall.
Right, I mean,
Overall.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Could be our income is a little less.
I wanna make sure that we answered the question from the chair correctly, so I don't know if you could clarify. It sounded like, are we under any obligation to report for, the
Well,
TAN purposes?
We've just approved the TAN. I don't know if we've had to do borrowing of this nature in the past.
We have,
We have.
we did last year.
Okay.
So again, as you run the scenario, you could run, if you chose to, you could run ARPA a little tight, and if ARPA, say you needed $1 million back from ARPA, well, that's why we have the TAN. You know, if the ARPA's interest rate is lower than the TAN's interest rate, then that's the route that would be sensible to go.
Have we historically paid less on the ARPA money than we have to the lending institution?
Yeah, we did last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
how do you determine the rate that they are
it's what they would have gotten in the
on the
account.
market?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so the interest rate we
I
would
think
have had holding the
Yeah.
money.
Bank.
Speaking of coming down, I think the interest rate for us earned is now down to a little over 3.
Three.
Yeah, when it was up around 4.5.
That's unfortunate. Should have put that in the
On that
CD.
side of the ledger, and on the other side, it's,
Are
Well,
we,
we
just
paid
as a
it back.
side note, this is not directly germane, but of interest, are we receiving interest on other reserve accounts or fund balance accounts?
Any money in the bank we get interest on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at this point, we have a motion to borrow $2 million from the ARPA fund at the existing interest rate that we would normally accrue on that money.
Yep.
No further discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Regretful, but unanimous.
We're good, we're good, good job.
Okay, any more good news? Guess not.
no, I'm good, yeah.
At this point, we'll move into the administration report if we could.
I actually have very little and can't think of anything at this point. If you wanna go to the warrants, I did ask both parties, and I see Mr. McCuller is here. I don't see anybody from the town yet. I asked them to be here a half hour early
Okay,
at the 10 o'clock appointment, so in any event, if you see them early, you can start early.
yep, if we reach that point. If not, would we want to roll into the executive session or one of them? Or do you want to wait until after we've completed?
I think we should wait till after, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, to go in executive, come out,
Understood.
like, yeah, I think it's, yeah, we can
Okay.
take a quick break, I guess,
Approve the
Well, I
warrants,
see
okay?
that
do the warrants, yeah.
Do the warrants.
Mary Ann is dutifully gone to the hall to look for individuals, and it looks like we may have all parties here. So at this point, I would entertain a
Oh, there we
motion
go.
regarding approval of the warrants. If you folks, in our hearing, I think we've got some books to distribute, so we'll do the warrants, then we'll take a brief couple-minute break here. If you folks want to grab a seat until we're ready, we appreciate your coming down. Thank you. Entertain a motion on item I.
Move we approve the items stipulated in agenda item I.
Second?
Have a motion on the warrants for the 2 weeks printed in our agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, at this point, we'll take a brief break so we can get our materials prepared, and then we will move forward with the tax abatement hearing. So, thank you both for being here this morning, and give us just a couple minutes. Convene if you've got us up on, yeah. If the town and, is it Mr. Melkuka? If you would like to join us up at the front here, we will open the hearing and then proceed with discussion
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
testimony. If both of you gentlemen could pull the mics just a little closer to you. We have a vast viewing audience here online, so I will ask you first, Mr. McCullough, McCullough, thank you, to introduce yourself, and then if you would also be kind enough to introduce yourself, then we will allow you to present your comments. It's not it's an official hearing, but it is not as regimented as you might see in some cases. We want to get to the bottom of what the issues are and see what we can do. So first, if you would like.
I'm gonna just procedurally, I've done this either way, and I
Okay.
can't remember from the last time, but I would recommend just a swearing in.
Good point. Thank you very much. Okay, so our administrator is a dedimus justice, so we would ask you to swear in the individuals that are going to give testimony today.
Oh, that was a nice toss. Yeah. Mr. McCullough, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth today regarding your testimony on the application of appeal to the municipal decision on your abatement request?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we do not need to do that for the town officials who are.
We can do it right now if you wish.
Why don't we get that out of the way so that as we move into
Yep.
it.
Steve, I forgot your last name. Sally, I did that. Mr. Sally, do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth today with regards to the evidence presented pertaining to Mr. McCullough's abatement request with the town of Stacyville?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we will officially open the hearing for Mr. McCullough regarding 40 Torres Lane in the town of Stacyville. Sir, if you would like to proceed.
Good morning, very
Good
nervous.
That's all right.
I'll give you a little history
Okay,
of why we're here.
okay,
In 2010, we only have one industrial business in town. The town over appraised their property, so the town lost in court. They had to pay $500,000, $500,000 fine. So for the next 5 years, everybody in the town got their taxes raised to pay for that $500,000, plus probably interest on the loan. Brings us to 2023. Selectmen called a meeting, townspeople, we have to raise $60,000, $30,000 in 2023, $30,000 in 2024, to have our town appraised by state mandate, but he had to be a certified appraiser. So we did that. At that meeting, I videoed it, and at the meeting, someone in the back said, "Where did you get these numbers that you've been taxing people for?" And the selectman said, "We were never really qualified to do this. We just did the best we could." So for 13 years, from 2010 to 2023, they continued doing the same thing, guessing numbers, riding around every year in a car, guessing numbers. So I get our tax bill 2024. I have two properties. One's a double wide mobile, and then my house at 40. 41's a double wide. Get my tax bill, and in the meantime, my neighbor wanted to have 2 petitions against the town to do some changes. So I said, "I'll drive you around." I was never familiar with the town. I come from Connecticut. I came here in 2016. So after 2 days, we drive around, and geez, I go home and I look at the yearly budget book, all our taxes in there. And I'm looking at these houses that we went to, and I'm looking at my tax bill and saying, these houses are bigger than mine. Why are they higher than, lower than mine? I'm higher. So I put in for 2 abatements. Mr. Sally and Dixie They looked at the properties, all the properties you have the pictures of, and the addresses. And they reevaluated. First, they did my double wide mobile. It was at $2,626. It now dropped to $1,444, which is $1,182 cheaper. If I didn't question that, I would have been paying another $4,000 extra to the town. The 3 years prior, I paid $3,000. So they saved me $1,182, only because I complained. And then we went to my house, and they refused my abatement on the house. I don't know who wrote this, Mr. Sally or somebody in the town, but on the first one, the Timothy Drew's house, whoever wrote it, no abatement granted. He put the houses of equal value. Well, if it was equal value, why is my taxes more than his? Barbara Pelletier's house, large house, he put incomplete, the house was incomplete, because they didn't have hardwood floors down. Mr. Pelletier had 6 small children. He had plywood floors. He varnished them so he wouldn't get slivers. Those children are married, have children of their own. The house is still the same way. My garage, my ceiling of my garage is non-insulated. All my pipes, my electrical, my plumbing, that's all visible. Does that mean my house is incomplete because it never got insulated? The other gentleman, Andrew Godet, huge house, you have pictures of it. He used old lumber. My house is old lumber. I brought pictures. It was an 18th century barn they knocked down, and you have pictures of the inside of my house. The kitchen, the living room, all cathedral. My master bedroom and bath, all these beams are throughout. 2 of my 4 walls in my living room are barn wood. They didn't use sheetrock, they used barn wood. So because it's old lumber, I have to pay more than anybody else. And that was Barbara Pelletier. I'm feeling like I'm being overcharged. And then the last thing, I guess, the building permit, I think you see it. The building permit was 206. If you look at the building permit, it says dealer. That's not my house. The original house was a 2-story modular, 3 bedroom, 3 bath. It burnt one night after 12 o'clock, complete. It had attached garage, an attached breezeway. It all burnt down. So they knocked it down, removed it. They also removed the foundation. So my house right now sits on a brand new foundation. If you look at the permit, you don't see 2 openings for a garage because it's not my foundation. Yet he claims the building permit issued in 206 lists the cost of the home at $151,000 change. Yet in 2024, the tax for the building is just $115,500. We're comparing 2 different buildings. One that's burnt, which was a modular, and now my building.
And again, just to clarify for my purposes, the modular burned in 2006?
No, that was when the permit, I think my neighbor said it burnt down in 207.
Okay, so the permit to put the modular on was 2006?
Correct, sir.
And then it burnt down approximately a year later and was replaced with the current structure?
Yeah, I think the permit for my house, I think from the owner was 2010, he took the permit out from my house. That's there now.
All right, at this point, Are there any questions from the commission? Mr. Sally, would you introduce yourself and tell us what your role is in regards to this process?
Yes, excuse me. My name is Stephen Joseph Sally. I am the tax assessing agent for the town of Stacyville. I have only been in that capacity since 2022. Is when I started.
Okay. So thank you for being here today. Mr. McCullough has provided some testimony. Are there any points that you wish to address? And could you also share with us what you know of how the assessing process was handled prior to your coming on board?
Yes. Well, I guess I first want to apologize. I did not realize this was not the correct building permit.
Okay.
That's the first I knew of it.
Yeah.
So that takes part of what I wrote and, but is no longer applicable.
Okay.
What I know of the tax assessment process in the town of Stacyville is that historically, the select person board they serve as the role of the assessors as well. They have gone to any newly permitted structures and used both the building permit application and other similar structures in town as a guide for their valuation process. That is being remedied. We're in the middle of a revaluation right now where things will be much different, but historically that's how the town has gone through their appraisal process.
And to your knowledge, is there any training that takes place? Because I understand selectmen serve in different capacities, one of which is in the assessing role.
Correct. I don't know. Dixie, do you know?
Would you like to come and join us, Dixie, or? I'm sure you don't, but we'd be grateful if you could provide some perspective for us to understand this. And I just ask you, when you get seated there, if you could pull that microphone in and press the button so it is on, once the red collar's on. And then lastly, if you'd be kind enough to introduce yourself and what your position
You got
is.
another push next.
Yeah, you may need to push again there.
No. Is that on there?
Go ahead, yeah, I think the top light is not working. Go ahead, Dixie, push that.
Show green.
Yeah, that shows green, the top,
Okay, there you
yeah.
go. I think we're good.
My name is Bonnalee Sides.
Can you
Bonnalee,
pull out two
Yeah, you
minutes?
can pull that right in. Thank you.
my legal name is Bonnalee Sides. I go by Dixie. And what I know about the assessing for the town of Stacyville, I've been there for 20 years. When I first went to Stacyville, the 3 Board of Selectmen, also assessors, had been there for 30 years, at least 2 of them. And the values never changed unless something was changed on the building. In 2000, and they always use a comparison. You know, they went out and looked at the buildings and compared them. They knew the town inside out. So we don't have a lot of complaints from our citizens. In 2005, the town of Stacyville was going to do a revaluation. And what happened was the company that was doing the revaluation we hired, who we thought was going to do the reval, and it ended up that it was my first time, so the person that was supposed to do it didn't do it. She sent her husband to do it, and he, in my opinion, was not qualified. So we stopped that revaluation. At that time, the assessments on the properties in Stacyville, they were just, to those selectmen, they were ridiculous. So what they did was they came up with a formula.
The selectmen did.
The assessors, selectmen, they came up with a formula that to them seemed like a fair value for all the properties, and all of the assessments were done the same way. We do, of course, those assessors are not there any longer, but the new assessors, as they were elected, nobody came in and changed any valuations. They all stayed the same and have always worked from the original factors up until 2005. And then, like I said, they took all of the same, they took the same values that were there and did a formula. So we had never approached a revaluation again because I was so discouraged with what we had gone through before, until I found out that he had left the state and he was going to do revaluations, and I really pushed for him to do ours, and we're really, we're looking forward to having a revaluation done of the town. It's greatly needed, and that is going into effect 2025.
Okay, so at this point, Mr. Sally is employed by the town to do the revaluation of your property.
Yes, and he's also our agent.
What year is this? I mean, this was 2005 was the last revaluation you had.
No, it never went, it never went into effect.
No, okay, that's what I needed to do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sally, you have certification to do this type of process?
Yes, I'm a certified Maine assessor.
Thank you. And there is a standard book that I understand is used by assessors in calculating certain values on property? Right, Mason, or right?
It's basically, you create cost tables for construction in today's construction world. And then you apply current land value so that what you're striving for is current market value, just value on all of the properties when you do the revaluation.
Okay.
But yes, there's a formula. There will be a formula based on square footage and different amenities of each property.
Okay. So some of the factors that Mr. McCullough has raised may be taken into consideration in valuing property.
100%, yes.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
And if we're able to see all of that, not every homeowner will allow us into their property. So you're really at that point left to estimate what you believe.
But everyone's given notice, and if they decline to permit you in, that is, they are somewhat obligated to accept the valuation?
Yes, I mean, they can file an appeal, and at that time I would ask again if I could go and look at it, because, ultimately I want to get it right. And if they denied it at that point, then, they have appeal rights, and we would go down that road, but, you know, ultimately, I'd like to just be able to see everything at a property.
Yeah. Mr. McCullough, have you been notified that they wish to inspect your property?
They were told that, yeah, they would come. I met the young gentleman, he was at my double wide mobile. I stopped him because I asked him, who are you? And he said he was the assessor. I said, okay. Never asked, can I go in?
Okay.
Okay, I said, my house is there. And he said, no, I've already done it.
Okay. But you would permit that
Sure.
in the abatement
Yeah,
process?
I mean, I told him it's 3 family, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Mine is 2 bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome, come on in. But he never offered, you know, never said, oh no, I'll come in.
Okay. So is that somebody that is employed with your agency to do
Yes.
that work? Okay.
Yeah, his job was strictly to measure and list, and this is the first I'm hearing that he was invited in and declined.
Okay.
So I'll have to address that.
Understood. I don't know, you know, in the course, whether you do exterior work and then ultimately do interior or not, but it appears that there is the opportunity for you
Yeah.
to assess that, and the owner has agreed to, at this point.
And we will
permit.
certainly do that.
Thank you. Okay, that's one step.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time is, well, everybody knows, they look at your house square footage. How many bedrooms, how many baths? Unless you're going for an insurance, then they ask you, what's the roof made of? You know, what's the exterior, but basically, it's square footage of the house, how many bedrooms, how many baths.
And just for my information, it may be in here, I apologize if I missed it, but you're asking for an abatement of $480.10 from last year's assessment?
Yeah, it was even over there, it was like $560. I mean, everybody else is $500 to $600 cheaper than I am. I've been there since 2016. I've been paying over everybody else, even for my double wide mobile. It's been there 4 years. If I didn't complain, I would have been paying another 4 years, over $1,000 over what I was supposed to be paid.
So that's amount he wants off his bill, not off the assessment.
Off the bill. So
Yeah.
the $480.10, it's in your application?
Yeah,
And is that for both properties?
that was only for my house.
Just for the house, okay.
Yeah, they gave me, I think it went from, the mobile went from 131 to whatever it was. It was $2,600, I think, something like that for the double wide. It went down to $1,444, over $1,000 cheaper.
Mr. Adkins, you had a comment?
Yeah, just for the commission, I wanted to reference you to the second page, which is under the county information, which is the applicant's application to the town. And if you look down on line 7, reduction of real estate value requested, there is a $480.10 mark there, but just to the right of it is 24,000. I don't know if that equates out to using the mill rate for the town or not,
What's the
but.
mill rate?
20 mils.
20, so,
What it is.
yeah, it's
Dixie,
24,000.
So that would be, yeah.
you had a comment or a question?
I did.
Okay.
I'm sure that everything Mr. McCullough is saying is true, but you can't look in the town report and compare what people pay for taxes compared to yours. You have to look, that would involve, it would depend on how many acres of land you had, whether it was in tree growth or not. I mean, some people have 1 acre of land and some people have 200 acres of land. You cannot do that without looking further into the property than an amount of taxes.
In Stacyville, I'm a real estate agent, so I have looked at property cards before, and if I understand it correctly, you would have a segregated valuation for the land and a segregated valuation for any improvements or buildings. And then you, I assume, have a calculation based upon whether it's a front lot or
We don't.
You don't, you just use, okay. So,
We have, what we do with our lot is, I don't know if I can remember this right up. I believe that a house lot, well, I know that it's $11,600. And it's, I believe, 3,500 for the well, 35, I might not be.
but there is a calculated chart that
There
you use
is.
that you apply
There is.
consistently.
And also acreage is done at $700 an acre. And we try to follow the state's analysis of the town in reference to what we charge per acre for land. There is no differential between a wooded acre of land or a field, or it's just acres of land, other than tree growth. And in tree growth, of course, we know exactly what the property is. It has wetland and so on. So we have to follow the state per acre as far as the mixed wood, hardwood, softwood. Then we do have a set amount for wetlands, transmission lines, and so on. I'm sorry if I might.
No, that's quite all right. You should have been provided a little more notice of what we might have wanted, but you've done well from memory. Mr. Sally, is there anything you would like to add to those observations as to how you use certain calculations in assessing or valuing the property?
Well, just generally speaking, I think the method that's used to derive the land value is pretty typical in the assessing world, with a base acre, if you will, or it's not always necessarily an acre, but a base lot and then excess land, and then adding for amenities like a well and septic to those properties. So that is, in my experience, it's a pretty typical formula for arriving at land values. And just to touch on something that Dixie said, Maine Revenue determined the town of Stacyville's ratio to be at 87% in the most recent state valuation. We had done an adjustment, a small adjustment in 2023 in order to be able to certify our ratio at 100% and give the homestead recipients and the veterans, et cetera, the full benefit of those exemptions. And in doing so, in 2023, it allowed us to certify our ratio at 100% again in 2024. If you took our figures after that adjustment, we were at 92%. So, and then the state allows you 10% on top. So the town itself is not excessively overvalued, I don't believe. And I think the state sort of attests to that with our ratio being under 100%.
Okay. So at this point, are there other questions from the commission? So I am recollecting that there is a time frame related to when abatements can be requested.
Yeah.
And we are still within that time frame for this particular request.
Yes, it's 185 days.
Thank you. How, Mr. Coca, would you like to proceed in knowledge that they have not been able to see the inside of your property and update their records accordingly?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to hide.
Okay.
Like I said, the square footage, And the land is, they have like Dixie said, if it's a property, an acre, whatever it is, there's a well on it, there's a septic, it's 11.6, that's what they get charged.
Okay,
They charged my double wide mobile, that amount, 11.6, they charged it to my house. They added it to my house, instead of leaving it on the tax bill of the double wide. It's just little things like that. Why would you put it on my house? Why didn't you put it on the tax bill for the mobile?
so to be
Because I
clear,
own the land.
do you have two separate wells and septics for those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
But they are on the same,
They're on the same land, but they're separate. Separate wells, separate septic tank.
so that would be, to me, an internal discussion about how you attribute the costs on a bill depending upon what the property dimensions or inclusions are. And I mean, it's the same amount of money, it's just on two different bills.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
But in terms of, go ahead, please.
sorry, I'm not sure the history of that, but, and Dixie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves correctly, you have your acreage and your home on one bill, and then the double wide mobile home is just the double wide mobile home.
The garage.
Okay, in a garage on, so just building value.
Right.
And, okay, was that requested by you to have, sometimes you have like a mother, father with a child that maybe they want their child to just pay for a building that's on their land, so, okay,
I never asked to be separate,
okay.
you know.
So that seems like a dynamic that would not address the amount of money.
Yeah, it's just a little, but it was a little quirk. Why didn't you take that 11.6 and stick it on the bill of the mobile? Why'd you stick it on my house?
And obviously, we're not in a position to know why that happened,
Yeah.
but it sounds like with some communications with the town, you might be able to either understand that or work that end out. The issue before us today is the abatement of that year's worth of taxes, which is the $480.10.
Yeah, because I, like the double wide, I can't get back all that money I overpaid. I can't get the money back on my house that I overpaid.
Yeah.
It's gone. If I didn't find put the abatement in, I'd still be paying over everybody else.
Well, I had the painful experience in a building we owned where we were paying a sewer bill only to find out that they had never connected us to the sewer when they put the new pipe in, and there was no abatement there. So I can feel your pain on that.
Pain,
But
yeah.
moving forward, I sense that the town is taking steps to be more consistent in how they apply their valuations, and I'm sure they can work some of these issues out. Are we at a point that we need to get any further information now, or do we want to take this under advisement to?
Is that how we usually do it? Do we act on it today?
Yeah, Chair, if I could, I think at this point where you had a hearing and the case has been presented, based on what I hear is that there is possibly a solution at the town level.
Not
Well,
for 2024.
This is for 2024.
This is moving forward. Okay, so then it sounds like you have a decision to make, correct? That's what you're telling me is on 24, you're sticking to the presentation today.
Yes.
And there is no, you're looking moving forward. So
Okay.
I think you're in the position of having to make a decision here.
Okay,
Now, we can deliberate at a later time, which we usually do, next meeting or, but there is a timeline for Mr. McCullough to receive a response.
understood.
However, due to, meeting dates and whatnot, many times that often extends beyond that. As long as he is in agreement with it, then, things work out. So you have a moment, you'll have a meeting to deliberate, which again can be next meeting, the 18th is today, 4th, yeah. And finalize your decision, and we notify the parties of that decision.
Yeah, usually something of this scope, we don't take immediate action unless
Right.
it's because there's a substantial amount of information that both parties have provided us that we need to look at. But
Right.
we will put it on the agenda. If the commission feels we can make a decision by the 18th, we'll deliberate and then come back on the 18th. You are certainly welcome to come in if you wish. You can also watch online if that's easier than coming down here. we will certainly send you notification of our final decision after that meeting.
Oh, sorry, I will also send you notification when deliberation is to take place, kind of like
Thank you.
the same thing as the other letter that I sent.
I'm not planning, I probably will not come.
Oh,
I
Dixie,
understand.
so,
There's-
yeah, I love having you down here.
I don't drive.
Oh, goodness.
So to that end, do you have any other comments or statements you'd like to share? I'll let Mr. Sally first.
I just wanted to, as you deliberate, the information that we provided in advance will be considered, because I just wanted to make sure that the court cases, I think the courts have been very uniform over time in their decisions. And I just wanted to make sure that, do I need to read all of that to you today, or is it just something that you guys have?
It will be in the record, so we can consider that in our deliberation. So, yeah, any documentation you've provided has been supplied to all the commissioners, and this was helpful for us to just hear from each of the parties to fill in some of the gaps. So I again appreciate all of you coming down to be with us today. Certainly hope that as you move forward now that there seems to be a little clearer understanding on a few points, that there can be some accommodation made going forward. We can't speak to what happened before, but that's what we will deliberate on for your request here. So thank you for taking the time and for the large amount of information you have provided and the comments and questions you've answered here today.
I thank you for hearing me.
Certainly, and thank you both again for your time and also your,
I have one more thing I
Please.
would like to say, Mike. The reason the town does the land the way they do is because it's always been done that way.
Oh, gosh.
I've heard that so many times. I've heard that so many times that the town is, because you always did it one way. You
Yeah.
can't always,
as you and I both know, times change a lot of things, don't they?
yeah, I mean, just like doing the assessment. You had no training, but you continue to do the same thing, you know?
I would just make the observation that they have recognized, perhaps partially due to your advocacy, that the need for a professional, and so kudos to those who are now on the select board for taking those actions. So
At least, maybe things will change in the town.
perhaps. There's always the elective process too, if you want to consider that.
I'm too old for that.
Well, with that, if there's no further comment or questions, we will close this hearing. And again, thank everyone for taking the time to come down.
Good, thank you.
Mike, I can help
Thank you.
to tell you that's the way it's always been.
I know, you kept telling me that too.
I think we're at a point where we're going to now entertain a motion for executive session.
Yes.
So we have two executive sessions. I would entertain a motion for those.
Thank you.
One is for real property and the other is a personnel-related matter. So
We have
having,
three, right?
they have withdrawn.
Okay, so just the two?
We're not ready yet.
All right,
So,
Thank you.
are you motioning or seconding, Commissioner?
I moved, he seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.